Hello, my friend. Welcome to your sleep story. My name is Stephen Dalton. I'm an Irish storyteller, and it's my great privilege to be the voice that you listen to as you go to sleep tonight. As you might know, I love animals. I have a little dog called Timmy, who I adore, but I love all animals. And a lot of you have recently requested that I write a story about a cat, and so, inspired by another one of my stories, One Man and His Dog, I present to you a new story about a lady and a cat, and how they transform each other's lives. I really hope you like it. One small thing. I'd like to thank all of those who support my work on Patreon. If you'd like to become a patron of my channel, you can find the link below this video. Thank you. Okay, let's do the relaxation session now, which will take a few minutes before tonight's sleep story. I'm going to count down from 10 to 1, and as I do, allow yourself to let go more and more. 10. Feel the support of the bed beneath you, or the floor, or whatever you lie upon tonight. Really feel that support. And of course, the earth beneath that. The earth that is always supporting us. And as you become more and more aware of that support beneath you, allow it to help your body to let go a little bit more now, releasing a little bit more now. 9. Feel into your body. Notice where you may be holding still. Maybe there is still tension in your feet. Just release now. Maybe your lower legs. Maybe in your belly. Let it go. We often hold tension in our hands. Allow your hands to let go now. Or maybe it's in your neck and shoulders. Or perhaps in your face. Your body has worked hard for you today. It's time to give it rest. 8. You are safe. Allow my voice to be an anchor of safety tonight. To be a friend. To be a kind, welcoming voice that will never lead you anywhere that isn't safe. 7. The day is done. Whatever has been, has been. Whatever will be, will be. So whatever thoughts you may be having about things past or things future, those thoughts probably don't serve you right now. So if and when those thoughts arrive, don't fight them. See them for what they are. Just thoughts. And then imagine them like clouds on a starry night, passing by and disappearing, or leaves on a moonlit river, gently floating away. 6. Peace lives within you. It is always there. It is a part of you. It is just waiting to be seen, waiting to be found, waiting to be heard, waiting to be felt. It is your constant friend, if you choose to look for it. See if you can find that peace tonight. Five. You deserve rest. You deserve sleep. We all do. So now, allow that fact to help you ease into this moment more, to let go a little bit more, to know that you deserve this moment. This is your time. 4. Perhaps allow a little gratitude now. Gratitude for the shelter you have tonight. Gratitude for the breath in your body. Gratitude for the simple things. Gratitude for the ability to listen to this sleep story tonight. Three. Begin to engage with your imagination now. Begin to see a great old city, and in that city, a beautiful old house, and in that house, a lady who is walking around the house, going about her day. But the lady is lonely. See the world now, and be ready to come along and listen to the story of how this lady's life is about to change for the better. 2. Feel into your body one more time now. make sure you're not holding on to anywhere. And 1. Completely letting go now, as I tell you tonight's sleep story. A long, long time ago, in the year 1921 to be precise, a beautiful and quite fortunate little event happened. Now, no one has ever heard this tale, for it has never been written, and the characters involved never told anyone either, for one of them couldn't talk, and the other one had no one to tell. So, allow me to tell you this story. The first character, the one who could not talk, was a cat. I'll tell you its name later, for at this stage of the story, it is nameless. And the other character was a lady who had lived for many, many years by the time of this story, and she went by the name of Serendipity. Oh, and of course, where our story takes place is also important. I'm afraid, though, I can't be specific, because, as I have said, this story has never been told before, and the only reason I know it is, well, I can't tell you that either. Let's just say that this story takes place in a great and old city, and Serendipity lives in a grand old house in the center of the city. In truth, Serendipity's life was marked by profound loneliness. Her grand old house, with its high ceilings and large windows, was a place filled with echoes of the past. The rooms, once bustling with the sounds of laughter and conversation, now stood silent. She spent her days maintaining a semblance of routine, but in truth, the emptiness gnawed at her. She had grown stubborn in her solitude, reluctant to let anyone or anything disturb the carefully crafted world she had built around herself. But Serendipity had not always been alone. There had been times of great joy and laughter, of love and companionship. She had once been a renowned concert pianist. Her music had filled concert halls and brought delight to audiences all around the world. Her fingers had danced over the keys, creating melodies that brought great peace to all who heard them. But those days had passed, and now the piano in the corner of her parlor stood silent, a beautiful reminder of what once was. Each morning, Serendipity would rise with the dawn, her footsteps echoing softly on the wooden floors as she moved through the house. She would prepare her tea and sit by the window, watching the city come to life outside. The people she observed were like characters in a play, their lives unfolding in a world she no longer felt a part of. Her once bright eyes had grown dim with the passage of time, and her heart, though still beating, felt weighed down by years of isolation. One particularly grey morning, as the rain tapped lightly against the window pane, Serendipity noticed a small, scruffy cat sitting on her doorstep. It was a pitiful sight, its fur matted, and its eyes wide with hunger and curiosity. She watched it for a moment, her heart stirring with a feeling she couldn't quite place. But then, with a shake of her head, she dismissed the cats from her thoughts and turned back to her tea, refusing to let her heart soften. But the next day, the cat was there again, and the day after that, and the day after that. Each morning, it sat patiently on her doorstep, its eyes always watching her with a quiet intensity. Serendipity found herself drawn to those eyes, but she was stubborn. She refused to acknowledge the little creature's silent plea. She had lived alone for so long, she thought, and had no need for companionship now. But deep down, she couldn't deny the small flicker of warmth that the cat's presence brought to her otherwise lonely mornings. On another morning, as the light filtered softly through the heavy drapes, as Serendipity rose from her bed, her movements slow and deliberate, she slipped on her slippers and wrapped a shawl around her shoulders, feeling the chill of the grand old house. As she made her way to the kitchen, her thoughts were filled with the familiar routine that awaited her. She brewed a pot of tea, the fragrant steam rising and filling the air with a comforting aroma. As she poured herself a cup, she glanced out the window and once again saw the small, scruffy cat sitting on the doorstep, its eyes fixed on her with that same quiet intensity. After breakfast, Serendipity moved to the parlor, where her beloved piano stood silent and imposing. She ran her fingers lightly over the keys, recalling the days when her music had brought joy to so many. With a sigh, she turned away and picked up a book from the nearby shelf, and settling into her favorite armchair, she began to read. But her thoughts kept drifting back to the cat outside. She could see it through the window, its small form huddled against the cold. Each time she looked up, the sight of the cat softened her resolve just a little more. And in the afternoon, Serendipity took her daily walk through the nearby park. The park was a place of quiet beauty, with its winding paths and towering trees. And as she walked, she couldn't help but notice that for the first time, the small, scruffy cat was following her at a distance. It never got too close, always keeping a respectful distance, but it was there, a silent companion on her solitary stroll. The sight of the cat, so determined and patient, stirred something within her, a feeling she had long suppressed. Returning home, Serendipity prepared a simple dinner for herself. The house was filled with the comforting sense of cooking, a small solace in her otherwise lonely existence. She set a place at the table and began to eat, but her gaze kept drifting to the window. The cat was still there, sitting patiently on the doorstep, its eyes never leaving her face. She felt a pang of empathy, a softening of the walls that she had built around her heart. And as the day drew to a close, Serendipity settled into her armchair by the fire. The warmth of the flames and the crackling of the logs provided a soothing backdrop to her evening. She picked up her knitting, her fingers moving deftly as she worked. But alas, her thoughts were elsewhere. She couldn't stop thinking about the cat, its silent plea for companionship resonating deeply within her. She glanced out the window one last time before going to bed, and there it was, still watching, still waiting. The days turned into weeks, and the small, scruffy cat continued its patient vigil on Serendipity's doorstep. Each morning, she found it there, its eyes filled with a quiet hope. Her resolve, once firm, had softened considerably, and she found herself increasingly drawn to the little creature. The cat had become a constant presence in her life, a silent companion that had slowly chipped away at her loneliness. One particularly cold morning, Serendipity opened the door to find the cat shivering, its fur damp from the misty air. She stood there for a moment, looking down at it, and felt a wave of compassion wash over her. With a deep breath, she made a decision. She bent down gently and scooped the cat into her arms. It didn't resist, curling into her warmth with a trust that took her by surprise. She brought it inside, closing the door softly behind her. Inside the grand old house, the cat seemed to come alive. It explored its new surroundings with cautious curiosity, sniffing at the furniture and rubbing its head against the legs of the chairs. Serendipity watched it with a mixture of amusement and tenderness. She prepared a small dish of milk and placed it on the floor, smiling as the cat eagerly lapped it up. This simple act of care made her heart feel lighter than it had in years. And as the evening approached, Serendipity sat by the fire, the cat curled up on a cushion nearby. She reached out tentatively, her fingers lightly brushing its fur. The cat purred softly, the sound filling the room with a warmth that went beyond the heat of the fire. She realized in that moment that she had not just let the cat into her home, but into her heart as well. It was a small, yet profound connection, one that signaled the beginning of a change within her. That night, as Serendipity prepared for bed, the cat followed her to her bedroom. It leapt onto the foot of the bed and settled down, its eyes half closed in contentment. She hesitated for a moment, then decided to let it stay. As she climbed into bed, she felt a sense of comfort and companionship that she had not known in a very long time. The presence of the cat, with its steady purrs and gentle warmth, brought her a peace that filled the empty spaces within her. In the days that followed, the bond between Serendipity and the cat grew stronger. She found herself talking to it as she went about her daily tasks, sharing her thoughts and feelings in a way that she had not done in years. The cat, though silent, seemed to understand her, offering its quiet companionship in return. She even began to play the piano again, slowly at first, but it wasn't long before she was playing the great pieces that had once filled the concert halls all around the world. The grand old house, once filled with echoes of the past, now felt alive again with the presence of her new friend. And of course, the cat itself had gone through a lot of change in its life. For one, it was given a name. Serendipity called it Claude, after her favorite composer, Debussy. After years of wandering the streets, this little cat, now called Claude, who was always searching for food and shelter, had discovered a sanctuary in Serendipity's grand old house. Claude had known the harshness of the world outside, but now, within the warmth and safety of this home, he felt a deep sense of peace settle within his small soul. The soft cushions, the regular meals, and the gentle touch of Serendipity's hand had created a haven where little Claude could finally relax. Serendipity, too, felt a transformation. The companionship of Claude filled her days with new purpose and joy. She would often find herself smiling as she watched the cat playfully chase a piece of yarn or bask on the floor in a sunbeam. The cat's presence brought a liveliness to the house that had been absent for so long. It was a silent but powerful reminder of the simple pleasures in life, and it helped to ease the loneliness that had once felt so overwhelming. In the evenings, the two would sit together by the fire, the cat purring contentedly in her lap, while she read aloud from her favorite books. These moments of shared tranquility were precious to Serendipity. She would often pause in her reading to stroke the cat's fur, feeling a profound connection to her new little friend. Claude seemed to understand her in a way no one else ever had. Its quiet companionship, providing a sense of comfort and understanding that words could not. And more regularly now, the grand piano, which had stood silent for so many years, was echoing with music once more. She would play softly, her fingers finding the familiar keys with ease. And the cat would sit nearby, listening with a calm, contented expression. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day. Claude, who had once been nameless and alone, had found his place in Serendipity's heart and home. And in return, he had given her a renewed sense of purpose and joy. They were two souls who had found each other in the most unexpected way, each one bringing comfort and companionship to the other. The grand house, once filled with echoes of loneliness, was now alive with the sounds of music, laughter, and the gentle purrs of a contented cat. And each night, when the time came for bed and for sleep, Serendipity would rise, the cat hopping down to follow her up the grand staircase to her bedroom, the room with its high ceilings and elegant decor felt warm and inviting, a sanctuary within the house. She would change into her nightgown and brush her hair, the cat sitting patiently by the foot of the bed, watching her with attentive eyes. Serendipity would then climb into her bed. The soft, luxurious linens enveloping her in comfort. Claude would wait for her to settle before gracefully leaping onto the bed. He would find his usual spot beside her, curling up close enough to feel her warmth. She would reach out and gently stroke his fur, a quiet ritual that brought them both peace. As the candles burned low and the room filled with shadows, Serendipity would close her eyes, the cat's gentle purring, a soothing lullaby. The silence of the grand old house was now a comfort, filled with the soft sounds of their shared presence. They would then drift off to sleep, each finding solace in the other's companionship. The bond they had formed brought a new light into Serendipity's life, replacing the years of loneliness with a deep and abiding connection. In the stillness of the night, the grand old house protected them and their friendship. The woman and her cat, two souls who had found each other against all odds, rested peacefully, content in the knowledge that they were no longer alone. And so, the night embraced them, wrapped in the warmth of their shared love and companionship, as they slept soundly, dreaming of great times in the past and of the new memories yet to be made. Serendipity and Claude would never be apart or lonely again.